You're such an asshole.
Of course, now I have shoddy internet reception. I just love these mornings. Just love it. And I got to get out of here in half an hour. So I was going to do this quickly, but now we just have added pressure because of the effery of American workers. So real quick, concept to pass on here for those of you who are young and haven't effed up your life yet. Let's talk about values. And I don't mean this in a, you guys remember the 700 Club? I don't mean this in a conservative tradcon Dennis Prager. We need good old fashioned American values. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about more from a computer science, software engineering. Your brain is a computer, it needs an operating system. When I talk about values, I mean what gets you out of bed in the morning. Why are you going to go do the things that you're going to do? What's going to make you go live life? And if you look in times past, well, there was one universal thing that we all had in terms of values. That was survival. That was like, I hope I don't die today. Where's the food? And so that's kind of some of the baseline. Everyone has that. But as time went on in technology, forming tribes, we kind of, things weren't as bad as being cavemen fighting off the saber-toothed tigers. Values more in terms of, for example, religion pops up, and and you look at all religions, doesn't matter, they all have kind of guidelines where, the Muslims, you probably shouldn't have any debt, and the Jews are kind of like, hey, don't eat that thing on Fridays, and the Christians are kind of more like, okay, we'll do that. That's in the olden days they had values, but you see, it's an operating system. Here's what you should do. Many of your ancestors and generations before, we did trial and error. Just trust us. Don't get a girl pregnant when you're 14. Trust us on that one. You got to work strong. Men need to be resilient. Ladies, be thin and attractive to attract a man. Bobbity boo. Here's some cultural things we do. I mean, all Leviticus and any of the religious texts is like, do this, don't do that, don't do this, do that. Do that on this time, but not on that time. And then if you got into it a little bit more deeply, whether it's religion or if you took secular religion, meaning philosophy, it's like, oh, why? Why are we here? Greeks made enough food and conquered enough places that Plato and Socrates. What are we doing here, man? What's going on? Now, as time has gone on, and it's not saying religion doesn't have any veracity. It actually has a lot of wisdom, a lot of good wisdom to follow in different religions. But as science kind of like, I don't know if there's a God. That doesn't mean that the traditions and the ways and the wisdoms of our ancestors didn't have value and merit. But as society and humanity advances, there's more secular value systems. For example, the American values. I'm not talking the 700 Club and Dennis Prager. I do like Dennis Prager, by the way. I'm just picking on him. But if you went to American values back in the day, it was you had your house paid off, the white picket fence, the wife and your 2.1 kids and a dog. All right. Contrast that with Eastern Asian values. More like family. I mean, it depends on which country, but a lot of tradition. I'm trying to think what you could see where, okay, yeah, did it come from Confucius? Did it come from history, other Taoist, right? Like religion, sure, but more modernly in modern day China, studying, very important, good grades and things like that. So if you are old enough, if you're my age, you might remember the days that the hippies started attacking American values. That'd be my parents' generations, the pot smokers, the ones who knew everything. They somehow believed in this idea that we just don't have to work. That's all hippies ever were. And let's do some pot and wear some horrendously ugly clothing and never shave our hoo-ha. And I remember, even though they cleaned up in the 80s, they started making fun of American values, particularly as it pertained to things like Leave It to Beaver, Ward and June Cleaver. They started mocking and ridiculing what was then the most advanced, foremost, evolved, even secular, the Andy Griffith show. They never really talked about religion in these things. It was just like mom and dad, father knows best, kids, and wasn't anything exciting in these shows, but Wally and Beav would do something wrong, but maybe not know it was wrong. The war would come in and explain to them why it was wrong and they shouldn't do that. And we all kind of, okay, be respectable of the rest of society so we could become good, well-behaved, contributing members of society. And they started questioning that fact. I'm not calling it a narrative. It's not an agenda. It's true. God, man, this internet is just absolute shit today. I'm sorry, guys. Really important thing I think of in the show. I'm like, wait, hey, this is important. And as time evolved on, with like, it wasn't necessarily conscious, but as they were starting to pick on traditional values, things that worked for eons and thousands of years before, they want to replace it with easier stuff. Like, hey, you don't have to work. I'm entitled to this. I'm entitled to that. Nah, you don't have to be physically attractive for the other person. Matter of fact, everyone's out to get you. And certainly we see that politically happening. But, and I'm no socialist. I like capitalism. I like companies. I like corporations, generally speaking. But as time went on, and especially I'd say my generation in the materialist 80s, if you remember it, we kind of had everything in the United States. There weren't a lot of problems. So our problems started looking inwards and becoming pettier and pettier. And man, did it hit me in middle school where I got to get in a fight. I've told this story before. I had Velcro shoes from Walmart. They were like the K500s or something, some off-brand shoe. And people were fighting me because I didn't have Nike high tops. I've talked about the Cavarici pants where you had to have these. There was, Lord knows if it was actually made in Italy. They were Italian name pants. They're probably made in Thailand for all we know. And you had to have the Varney shirts. You had to have all these brand name things. And what you didn't know what was happening at the time, but fresh off the divorce wave, after basically like, nah, we don't need the family. That's not really no, feminism, women can do anything. Women need men like they need a bicycle. Oh, kids are resilient. They don't need a nuclear family. It wasn't necessarily that there was a vacuum, but concurrently along with that, Corp was like, hey, we should market to these kids. And without either religion, a strong and present set of parents, or parents may have been there, but they didn't instill values, maybe because they smoked too much pot back in the 60s and 70s, they themselves didn't know. That without anything kind of like with propping up or propagating traditional values system that worked in the past, man, it's kind of open to fill it in with whatever, and with no real pressing issues, no real pressing problems. Now your problems can be, oh, I wish I went to the Milli Vanilli concert. Look those guys up. I wish I went to the Vanilla Ice concert. I wish I had ski tag tickets and my parents were rich. And what you're starting to realize now, and maybe it started even in the 70s, but certainly very present in the 80s, that value system is one called materialism, consumerism, where it was stuff and things. Now, this has always been there. You get so rich, you get so wealthy, you forget the people that loved you and got you there. If you're not doing without, you don't really know who your friends are, what's valuable in life. And so, I don't know, you're some British royal. It's like, my goodness, I don't want the silver crown. I want the gold crown. Salmon, by God, I wanted sea bass. That kind of, these are big problems. But you can even see it, people, what they cry over, get upset about nowadays over when Netcore Edina. Well, that was rolled out for everyone to a certain extent. And I don't think it was necessarily conscious at the beginning, but I do believe so it is now. Because in replacing traditional values, not even American values, just traditional human values that worked for eons across different cultures, with materialism, what ended up happening is kind of like this arms race. Well, I need to have the nicer car. I need to have the nicer house. I need to have the fancier clothes. And because that was the only value system, that's the only thing that gave people value, they go to the wall for it. And by go to a wall, what I mean is that they would incur debt. And by God, by golly, I've seen that. I've seen that in banking. I've seen that. You find out like the one family wasn't rich. Dad was just borrowing all the money all the time. Kids going off. Oh, man, I was just kind of jealous of the kids that got to go to Disneyland when I was like a little squirt. But then as, like middle school, like, my dad took us to Europe. They're showing us the pictures like, you asshole. And that's been going on now. Now, there was a little, I don't know if Zoomers now are like, we're sick of it, man. Maybe it was even the millennials. But materialism has definitely filled that vacuum, has definitely filled that void of purpose and reason to get up in the morning. Because it ain't no more like girls don't get up for you guys to go get married and be a nice, loving wife and mother of your children. They get up to get the Jimmy Choo shoes and the $5,000 handbag and get the corporate career. Well, why the corporate career? So I could be rich. Well, why do you want to be rich? So I could buy stuff. Okay. Man, you guys do it too. You go get an engineering, accounting, and all that. Why? So you could get a car, so you could be cool. Why? So you could buy the McMansion. Now, of course, that's to get pussy in the end. I'll admit that in the end, it's to get pussy. Some of you may even want to have kids, but there still is that you can even look like, oh yeah, man, I got this shirt, or I got this type of car, I got this kind of. So yeah, maybe partially there is that goal to get the girlsa. But there's also the vanity and material. Oh, we're in this neighborhood. Oh my goodness, blah, blah, blah. And now that I think of it, yeah, I definitely saw that in banking, where these douchebag, washed up boomer dude bros like Zorba the Swede with his freaking medallion, this 55-year-old old fat pasty white Minnesotan with graying hair, tan though as hell because he'd always go to Lake Havasu and all that. So there still is this vanity component, a non-sexual component. For men acquiring stuff. But in order to be the queen bee and the king bee, because keep in mind, there's nothing else. There's nothing else. It's just to be the most popular. It's to have the latest Audi A10 before you go to the nail salon. It's so that you got the slightly bigger house in the neighborhood. It's so that I remember there was this one development where attractive houses were built on one thing. Then the road went up like a good sized hill or a cliff. And there were the houses that were up on the higher one. And I knew two people through the guy who lived in this neighborhood that sold their perfectly good house that was way more house than they needed for their family, for the number of people in the family, because they could go up. It's like $250,000 just to go. And the moving and the time and the panassery involved. So however we got here, we're here. The value system of America, I'm not talking the economic system, though it ultimately relates to that. And I'm not talking the spiritual values, but the operating system of America, your value system, what gets up most Americans in the world, or in America, but got a lot of Westerners as well, is stuff. It's materialism. It's consumerism. And because that's the only thing you got, people have no problems going into debt to go and get the stuff that they got, so that they can fake. That's all it is, just fake playing queen bee or king of the prom. Effectively, none of us ever leaving middle school or high school. But here's the interesting consequence of having a value system that is based on materialism or consumerism or items or things and stuff. Is because if that is the race, and that is the only thing that matters, is he who has the most toys win, and people are going to go into debt, it ends up causing this kind of debt slave system, because to the extent that we will go into debt to impress other people and satiate our desire to be whatever popular, I don't know. My value system is freedom. So this is all very foreign to me, but I can't deny what I see with my eyes with numbers and statistics and economics. Because when you go into debt, what you're essentially doing is saying, okay, I can't afford it now, but if I spread the payments out into the future plus interest, I can get the thing now, play Mr. and Mrs. Popularity, increase my value. That's why I got the thing, I got the stuff, I got my boat, I got the brand new car, I got the Cadillac Escalade. I sent my daughter, God, how many, you think I'm making this up? How many dumb American parents took out home equity loans on the houses to send their stupid privileged little kids out to some spoiled, overpriced liberal arts college so they could get a joke of a degree only to move back home and have to live home with their parents? They even have articles about this where the baby boomers now can't retire because they co-signed on a bunch of student loans. You want to talk about an overpriced piece of materialistic crap? A liberal arts degree is it. The college experience. Anyway, regardless of whatever you took out debt for, what that does is, okay, it spreads out the payments into the future so you can afford it today. but it enslaves you into the future because it's not just the nominal price that you're paying. You got to pay interest. And not for like 2 to 3 to 4 years, sometimes like if it was something simple as a car. But if you got a mortgage, that's 30 years. 30 years at 5, 6, 7%, that adds up. And you can see it when they do the calculation. Okay, the house costs this much with this mortgage. It's usually 3 times the amount of the price of the house. Cars, they got a shorter loan period there. So they're only like, you pay like 50 to 70% more depending on interest rates and all that. Student loan debts, hello, anybody. Again, America's most educated, also the most stupid college graduates who don't, college degree, you don't understand how compound interest works. And how many stories have you heard where it's like, well, it started out at $35,000, $40,000. YOLO! Yo, I need my, what is it that you idiots spent $8 a thing? Avocado and in your IPAs. YOLO! 43 years old and crippled in debt, asking mom and dad for a bailout, student loan bail, living at home. I don't know. Were you really popular with your Rat's beer, drinking your IPAs, getting all the beer foam around? How'd you girls find that attractive? How did you find that attractive? And unknowingly, as you buy more and more things, if you look, you don't have to buy a lot of things, guys. You don't have to buy a lot. It starts off when you're younger. Okay, clothes and shoes. And, well, within the black community, hello, rims on your car. This place you go rent rims for a night, right? Everyone's got their jacked up truck because men's got small penises in the world today. But whatever it is, you're buying the fancy clothes, you're putting that on a credit card. You're going out, getting bottle service, you're whining and dining and all that. I'll put on the credit card. I'll pay it. YOLO. Nothing's too good for my little princess. I'll sign off on the $250,000 loan for you to go to McAllister. Yes, major in feminist studies so you hate your father later on. I just deserve it. But okay, you got your smaller little, your clothes, your shoes, your hats, whatever. That's how you start. Then as you get older, especially when you turn 18 and go to college, then you get the big ticket items, namely school, house, and cars, which for the most part, everyone in America buys way too much of. You got way more house, way more education, way more fancy automobile than you need. But when you add up those three, plus you're given amount of credit card debt because you got to buy the knickknacks, patty wax, give a dog a bone. That adds up to all future payments to the point, with the interest added on top of it, that you're enslaved for the rest of your life. And that's the current, not only value system we have today, that's our economic system. Because, dude, what corporation doesn't love it that you'll go to a bank, sign up for a 12% loan for a car or a credit card, whatever. They don't care. They got your money. It's up to you now to effectively, literally be a financial and economic slave to the banks for the rest of your life. And the banks love it. You know why? They don't sell a product. It's just a bunch of jerk-offs and empty suits going like, well, here's somebody else's. They don't use their own money. Depositors come in, here's the money. Like, hey, you want this money? It's not ours. We're going to charge you 7%. Look at my nice smile. I whiten my teeth and wear a nice suit. Hey. Okay, that'll be 7 and 8%. And so the banks are only more than happy for you to go hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt because they're making money. The corporations are making money. You're too stupid and short-sighted to realize, hey, I got all my stuff. Look how popular I am. But yeah, you just enslaved yourself for 30 freaking years. And not to further add to it, but you know who also loves people who are living paycheck to paycheck? People who are part of this debt slave system. Employers. Do you know why employers love it when you go into debt and live paycheck to paycheck? Because it makes you desperate, because they can take advantage of you. And I'm going to assume those of you who have worked in corporate America or even the nonprofits or the government sector, you know that employers are dicks. I don't mean like, yeah, you don't like your boss because you don't like work. No, these people are sick sadists and psychopaths. Have I had good bosses? Yes, but most of them, they know. They know you got to make a mortgage payment. You know how I know? Because they had to make a mortgage payment. All my banking bosses, they weren't any smarter. Actually, they're dumber than me, but they weren't any smarter than the people that are lending the money to. They had a mortgage. They had car payments. They had to make wifey poo happy. They had to send their dipshit kids to a dipshit college like Middlebury. They had to keep up appearances, even though they were like 40 years graduated from high school. And so they knew, oh, yeah, this guy's just everyone. Like, do you guys remember the video going around where they go around the dealership, say, what's your car payment? What's your car payment? And these douchebaggery 20 and 30 something like, ha ha, $1,100. Hey, Bob, what car you go? Oh, I got a Hellcat and it's $2,000. And then they go to the final guy, like, none, I paid cash. And everyone thinks it's a joke. Those people are enslaved. They're enslaved and they're desperate. And that means their employers could take advantage of them. Tell me if this has happened to you before. We can't promote you. We can only afford this. Going for an interview, they can only afford that amount of money. Oh, we need you to come in later on tonight. Oh, we need some ad hoc duties as assigned. Or, thankfully, this isn't as common, but it happens. Oh, we know we said we're going to bring you in for this job, but we've completely changed the job description and the job duties. Yeah, it's totally not what you agreed to. Oh, too bad you moved and you signed an apartment lease and you got yourself a car loan. And twice I've heard the story, twice, where there was somebody who was a boss. They interviewed the kid and they would always try and get him. One was at a car dealership. The other one was somewhere else, but they got this kid. They had an agreement like with the local car dealership. Like, we got a special deal with the local, whatever, Ford dealer. Go down there and see if you can't get a car. And once they signed up, both men said, we got them. Some are very conscious and aware of how much of you guys are debt slaves. And it all goes back. Oh, you all made fun of June and Ward Cleaver about frugality and paying cash and whatever, boring, working hard and showing up on time and family and all that. Right? We made fun of it, but we replaced it with what? Stuff, materialism, things, because we want to be popular. Oh, we don't need families anymore. Right, ladies? You don't need no man, right? Right? Just in vitro fertilization. We don't need each other. We just need things and stuff. We need biscotti and a trip to Italy. And I'll come back and drive my Audi. And so in replacing things with stuff, materialism, consumerism, magnified, shots with steroids, steroided up with debt, you are almost guaranteed, if you have this as your value system, if you have materialism and consumerism and things and stuff as your value system, you're going to be miserable because you're not going to have any people or love or family or anything else in your life. You're also not going to be free. I don't live for family. I live for freedom. That's a different thing, different story. But if you put consumerism, materialism, things and stuff, I got my grills. Is that a thing within the Black community still where you put the gold stuff on your teeth? Is that a thing? I want to know. Does it get you a job? It makes you miserable? If that is your value system, it is almost a guarantee you're going to go into debt and voluntarily make yourself a slave to banks and corporations. And I'm no big conspiracy guy, but that is a fact. The vast majority of Americans willingly enslave themselves to banks and corporations, sometimes the government, when you go and you sign your student loans. It says free money. Yay, daddy government. La, 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 la. What do you mean pay it back? And then depending on how much debt you take on, you could be screwed for the rest of your life. You don't have the options anymore. And all your life is work. And I guess you get to live in a nice house or drive a nice car. I guess you got nice clothes, but you still got to go to work. And the stress and living paycheck to paycheck, forget it. Absolutely forget it. And so if you don't want to essentially piss away your life, I'm not saying we all got to go back to June and Ward Cleaver days. I'm not saying you have to join a religion, but you need some kind of life philosophy that isn't shit. I just want to accumulate more shit. That when you get up in the morning, you have something to look forward to rather than what was the old classic quote? What's it? Fight Club. We buy things we can't afford to impress people we don't like. When you're done with that stupid and ridiculous, guaranteed to enslave you value system, let me know. And we have some others. Now, I could tell you there's nothing wrong with religion, nothing wrong with the good traditional classical American values. Again, as you said, I said before, like freedom is what kind of governs me. That's why I get up in the morning. But none of this is happening if you guys cannot break the conditioning you got, and you did get it back when you were a kid, to go and buy crap. Right? It happened to me. Like, this is back in the days when we had malls. You walk through the mall, like, oh, I would, look, I'd love to have all this stuff. Right? It's programmed into you. Also, there's some genetic compunction to like consume more, because that's how we survived in the olden days. Just eat food. Don't know where your next food's coming from. But if you don't break that addiction, if you don't break that conditioning and programming they gave you back when you were younger and in your 20s, you're going to be a slave forever. Now, link below, as some of you have rightly predicted, I'm going to refer you to a course I offer on Teachable. It is open until the end of the 5th. So today and all day tomorrow until midnight. It's called Achieving Minimalism, Theory and Practice. So it's linked below. And if you're having trouble with spending, if you are like in debt, you're sick and tired of it, be like, but I gotta be like, if you're a 30-something and you still think you gotta buy shoes or fancy clothes or a fancy car, I can't help you. Well, I can. That's the whole, take that course, Achieving Minimalism. Because it will, it's not just like stop spending money that you don't have. It goes through, here's an alternative value system. This is why you're a slave. This is why your life is miserable. Knock it the F off. And so that's open for enrollment until the end of the 5th. You have 45 days to take the class if you sign up for it. It is $450 plus tax. I apologize that it's so expensive, but I got sick and tired of charging cheap and no one does anything. If it's like $50, no one listens to it. So now if you look, and don't tell me you're not pissing away your money. Don't tell me you don't have like at least 3 payments between your credit card payment, your car payment, your student loan payment. Guarantee you most of those are going to be higher than the $450, $500 with tax for the minimalism course. and those are every month. So I'm going to go hiking. I'm going to go climb Black Mountain, I believe. Then I'm going to come back home and watch some anime and maybe do a little bit of work. And the reason I could do it, guys, I don't have to, look, I got this shirt for free. I got this at Walmart. Yeah, I don't have fancy clothes. I do not have a nice car. Ask Rolo. But you know what I get to do? Whatever the hell I want until I'm dead. I mean, within reason. I do have to work a little bit and make some money. So before you die, I don't know. I recommend you take that course. It's linked below. There you go. Let's go on to the super chats real quick. But at minimum, take away. Be aware of this debt slave value system that we have. And it all starts with you guys being conditioned to buy crap you don't need and don't want. All right, I got to go real quickly here. So no more super chats. Let's just hold off on those till the next time Cappy comes back. Stay in the milkman. 5 Australian dollars. I studied metallurgy and worked in the mine, paid off my loans in a few years. Now senior and money is never a problem. All it took was 12-hour days. Yep. I bet you got an okay truck that gets you to work and back. Willie Mendoza, $2. Now I'm driving a POS and saving hella money. Thanks. All right. The cars for the guy. I'll just take some free information, guys. This will save you more than the pay cash for a car. Girls don't care what car you drive. I mean, keep the car clean, obviously. But please pay cash for a car. Don't get a car loan. Please. Never buy new. Always buy used. Wisdom Vision Productions, $2. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Okay, Wimpy. Drew, $5. I always wonder how many Teslas I see are financed. Oh, goddamn. Guarantee you all your fancy cars, like 95% are financed. I saw that in banking. Trust you me, the people you think are rich are not rich. They're not rich. I own 2 cars straight out with a daily driver, and I know my net worth is higher than most. Yep. The people with the fancy toys do not have money. They have fancy toys. That's what they got. Drew, $2. My Hyundai gets 36 miles a gallon. And it's $25 for gas. There you go. Wisdom Vision Productions again, only $5. Only nerds like me have 5-digit positive net worth. That's why I don't get invited to the Tesla party, gay community dude bro parties. Right. What's great is if you guys are worried about retirement planning, if you quit pissing away your money, retirement planning becomes much, much easier. Much easier. So, all right, that's it. I got to go. Link below. Hopefully we'll see you guys in class. It closes tomorrow. Don't procrastinate. Stop being poor. See you guys later. Toodles.